Good morning. I am Maureen Gormley. My pronouns are she and her. I am a member and a worship associate here at this church, the Unitarian Universalist Area Church at First Parish in Sherburne. Welcome. Now let's begin our sacred worship service this morning by taking a deep breath and letting it out. Welcome to this loving community. Come in bringing all of who you are. We gather and worship, our hearts alive with hope that here we will truly be seen. Turn down the volume on your fears and loosen the armor around your heart. May we root ourselves in the values of this faith: acceptance and encouragement, compassion and transcendence, justice and transformation. We strive not for perfection, but for authenticity and connection. We come here to learn about being in relationship together, to listen, to forgive, to be vulnerable, to create trust and have compassion for one another. We are gathered here to walk each other home. Be here in this moment with us. Let go and breathe.
Good morning. My name is Reverend Jo. My pronouns are she, her, and hers. I'm one of the ministers here, and it's great to see you all this morning. I'm also excited to greet those who are joining us online or watching later. Let's give a wave at the camera. We're so glad you're joining us across space and time. And a few pieces of announcements and welcome for you, starting with the logistical welcomes. Over to your right, there's a place where you can light candles or share prayer cards that we'll read aloud during the service, or sign up for roles in upcoming services. There's also our blue interconnected theme for May if you want to do some deep diving on that. Newcomers are most welcome to join us. You come on a really fun Sunday. In your pews, we'd love to stay in touch. In your pews is a little blue card, if folks could hold that up. Thank you. If you'd like to stay in touch with us, things like email newsletters or having one of the ministers be in touch with you, just fill that out, drop it in the offering basket as it goes by, or give it to Reverend Nathan or I after the service. We'd love to get to know you. Children of all ages are welcome to go to faith formation classes after our Wonder Box or stay in the sanctuary. If you need to wiggle, if you need to move of any age, that's okay. There's a corner in the back. There's meditation toys as well. Please take care of your bodies and yourself, all ages. We mean it. And a few announcements and invitations. It's getting to the point of the year where there's always quite a lot going on, but just a few quick things. Right after today's service, any kids who enjoy singing can join Tim over by the piano and Amy for our next children's choir piece. It's open to anybody. It's fun, it's easy, it's short. Just come right over here at the piano to start learning the piece that the choir will be singing on the last service of the church year on June 9th. Thank you for that. And then after the children's choir is done rehearsing and grown-ups have gotten a snack, come on back up. We're going to be talking about our accessibility project here, and as well as giving an update on the status of our organ and some possibilities there. We encourage you all to come and absorb and learn and ask questions about both. And then on Tuesday, you can join me for part 3 of our group called The Starting Point. It's for newcomers, but it's also for older comers who want to refresh their connection or connect with newer folks. We're going to be doing some spiritual practices this week, Tuesday, 6:30, with snacks in the FOS room. And that is kind of leading into our time of welcoming new members on June 2nd, right ahead of our annual meeting. Anyone who is ready to join as a member to call this, yes, this is my spiritual home, come talk to me or Reverend Nathan. We'd love to welcome you. And with that, we encourage you to greet one another, welcome each other, ask for consent before hugs, and say good morning.
Hi, everybody. I'm Reverend Nathan. I get to be one of your ministers. Best job in the world. No, for real, Roger. You shouldn't do a chuckle. Even when we're not always at our best, you and me, right? Hey, listen, did you recognize that song? Yeah, it's Mr. Rogers Sunday. You know why? Just because. Just because. There's no real reason. Just because we all need a little Mr. Rogers in our life, don't we? All right, so let us have our opening words from, I'm going to call him Rev Fred, because of course he was an ordained Presbyterian minister. Let us say together, our world hangs like a magnificent jewel
in the vastness of space.
And every one of us is a part of that jewel.
A facet of that jewel.
In the perspective of infinity. Well pronounced. We are intimately related. So we're going to rise in body or spirit, and then I'm not even going to tell you what this opening song is, because when you hear it, we're just going to know what to do, right? All right.
Gonna be here to help you out anyway.
Thank you, sir.
It's a beautiful day for a neighborhood, a beautiful day for a neighborhood. Would you be mine? Could you be mine? It's a neighborly day in this beauty world, a neighborly day for a beauty. Would you be mine? Could you be mine? I have always wanted to have a neighbor just like you. I've always wanted to live in a neighborhood with you. So let's make the most of this beautiful day. Since we're together, we might as well say, would you be mine? Would you be mine? Won't you be my neighbor? Won't you please? Won't you please? Please won't you be my neighbor?
Okay, we can be seated. Like seriously, like how did he get dressed that fast? And I'm wearing. You can be seated. Oh wait, no, we can't. We have to say our covenant. What am I doing? Let us say together our covenant as who's lighting our chalice? Lily is lighting our chalice. It's gonna be a crazy Sunday. Lily, come on up. Let's light our chalice. We say together our covenant. Is she here? All right, Joe. Joe will be Lily. Let us say together, love is the spirit of this church and
Service is law. This is our great covenant, to dwell together in peace, to seek truth and love, and to help one another. From all that dwell below the skies, let songs of hope and faith arise. Let peace, goodwill on earth be sung, through every land, by every tongue.
You may be seated. Thank you, Maggie, for helping dress Nathan.
Where's your stole?
Okay. Well, anyone who would like to come on up, any of our young people or young at heart for our Wonder Box time, I tell you, sometimes I know exactly what to put in the Wonder Box, which we always put something in there that has to do with our theme. And it was hard because I had a lot to choose from. So I've got my socks. Let's see, I think I'll make a snappy new day. We've got, oh gosh, Nathan, I might need you to hand me these things. The neighborhood of make-believe. Can you pass me some of that stuff? So when Nathan said he wanted to do a Mr. Rogers Sunday, Sarah, and I'm like, yes! He is one of my heroes. I could have put the Be Kind stained glass in there. I could have put this from my office wall, which is he's one of my saints, next to Jim Henson. I realize all of my heroes are people who are gentle, kind, and good with children, and creative. I'm like, oh, okay, great. So I didn't pick those, but can you guess what's related in my Wonder Box here? Yeah, Mr. Rogers stuff, great. So part of the reason, I'll put this here for now. Part of the reason we're honoring him is in Unitarian Universalism, we are open to being inspired by anybody, by people who lived in the ancient world and wrote texts that we think of as sacred, and by people who lived pretty recently, who lived lives that teach us how to be more sacred, how to be kinder. And Mr. Rogers was so good at that. So when I was growing up, when I was about a bunch of your age, my mom ran a daycare in our house. There were always a lot of kids around. Stuff was tense in my family. And the TV was almost always on PBS. And when Mr. Rogers would come on, I would sit as close as I could to the TV without getting yelled at. I usually would have to scooch back because I was too close. And it felt like he was talking right to me. Have any of you ever noticed that? That sometimes, even through television, it feels like they're talking right to you. I love people who do that in person. Like I feel, oh, I'm really seen. And I recently just learned a really cool thing that can we put up a Mr. Rogers picture up here just to celebrate him, Mr. Rogers' neighborhood. There we go. So, thank you. People who have especially young people, when they watch old school Mr. Rogers, they sleep better. They have an easier time letting go of the iPad or whatever they're watching it on afterwards, and they're kinder to each other. And I think that's true for grown-ups too. So I encourage us all to seek out the things that help us feel calm and seen and regulated. When I went to Pittsburgh last year for General Assembly, we went to the Heinz Museum, a couple of us, to go to the Mr. Rogers exhibit. And I want to show you my favorite piece. I think it's the next one, India. Any of you recognize what that object is? A stole, yeah. Kind of like Reverend Nathan and I are wearing, but this one was made especially for Mr. Rogers by his aunt. And it's got so many little details in it that relate to Mr. Rogers' neighborhood. It's got his cardigans, it's got his sneakers, it's got the trolley, and I love that because caring for each other and creativity and imagination is ministry. It's how we imagine a kinder world, it's how we take care of each other, and that's his stole. And that's what I hope we are doing when we minister to each other. Now, I'm seeing some things up here that remind me that Mr. Rogers isn't just the old school stuff. What show is on-ish now that people know that came from Mr. Rogers? Yeah. Daniel Tiger. Can you hold up your Daniel Tiger or can I hold it up? Just so folks can see. Here's Daniel Tiger. What's this one's name? Katerina. Here we go. Y'all came prepared. Thank you. A lot of the same lessons of caring for each other. And there's a song that I think is maybe also in Daniel Tiger. Can we do the next one there just to... It's like, yeah, so Daniel does a lot of tributes to Mr. Rogers. Daniel Tiger was, in fact, an actual puppet of Mr. Rogers. And there's a particular song that I sing to Sully, I sing to the kids in my life, and I hope that we sing to each other. So if somebody would like to open our Wonder Box to find out what's in there, yeah, come on up. Great. Can you hold that up nice and high? Thank you. It's You I Like. Do any of you know this song? I'm seeing some of the young folks might not. So maybe we're singing it to you for the first time, or maybe you do know it. This one, thank you. I also got at that museum. It's a picture book of the whole song. We're going to sing it, but does anybody down here want to follow along while we sing it? Want to look at a board book of the song? Here you go, Molly. All right. What I like about this, is that this is our call to ministry, right? So can we go on to the next slide, which I think has our lyrics? And Chris is going to help us out here. I encourage you all to sing it and like feel it. Okay. It's you I like. It's not the things you wear. It's not the way you do your hair. But it's you I like. The way you are right now. The way down deep inside you. Not the things that hide you. Not your toys, they're just beside you. But it's you I like, every part of you. Your skin, your eyes, your feelings, whether old or new. I hope that you'll remember, even when you're feeling blue, that it's you I like, it's you yourself, it's you. It's you I like. It is you I like, and I'm so glad that each of you shares who you are with this congregation. And I'm grateful to Chris, too, who's joining us today on piano. Thank you. So this is our second to last faith formation class of the year. Thank you. So we encourage you to go on off to your classes, have fun, and be kind to each other, and we'll sing you out. One thing to commit to the bit, but it's warm in here. I invite us to slow down ourselves, slow down our minds as we're able. Perhaps slow down your breath, soften your gaze as we take some time to center ourselves in prayer or meditation or just friendly quiet. We'll begin with our call to prayer. There is a love. We know that whenever we gather, there's so much on our hearts. There's joys and sorrows and hopes, prayers for loved ones, prayers for our world, and prayers of thanksgiving. These are the prayers that you all have submitted today. We hold them in our hearts, beginning with prayers for our loved ones. A prayer of joy in honor of Reverend Judd Wolfskill. The Reverend is new, who was ordained yesterday. One more good new Unitarian Universalist minister ordained in this sanctuary. Our congratulations to him and his family. I think they're off with family this morning. And thanks to the many volunteers who brought the celebration and ritual together. A prayer from Gail, who says, Jordan and Tikva still need prayers. We send prayers and love. From Pam Kading Webb, a prayer for her mother who is awaiting results of a critical PET scan. A prayer from Jenny Bro for the La Rochelle family who are grieving a brother and uncle gone too soon. A prayer from the Howell family. On May 15th, 2013, Kyle Howell was born. We remember today his life, laughter, and love. We loved you tremendously, Kyle, forever in our hearts. Love, Mom, Dad, Sophia, and Matthew. Remember him at what it would have been his 11th birthday. And finally, also a prayer in honor of Emma Reardon, in honor of her upcoming graduation. We missed saying her name in last week's bridging ceremony, but we're cheering her on and celebrating this achievement. What a milestone. For all of these dear ones, we light a candle. And we turn our attention to the outside world, the world outside these walls, outside these clear glass windows that show us a blooming world, reminding us that sanctuary is not just a place we go to here, but a calling to create out in the world, a sanctuary for us all. We share our prayers for everywhere the world hurts, where there is war and hunger. And we share a prayer of celebration. Friday was the 20th anniversary of marriage equality becoming the law of the land in Massachusetts in 2004. We celebrate all those same-sex couples who fought so hard and allies who accompanied, and all those who are continuing the work because the work goes far beyond marriage rights and keeping those secure as well, but fighting for queer and trans rights all over. For all of these, we light a candle. And always, there is Thanksgiving. From Jess Jonas, gratitude that Tom Bolton has survived another year here on this planet. And we'll celebrate his birthday tomorrow. Happy birthday. A prayer of gratitude celebrating all of the graduations this season, including our own Kyle Belmont, who's our communications coordinator, who just graduated with his Master's of Divinity. Our intern, who'll be arriving in the fall, Ian Evans, graduating alongside him. Yeah, that's how a lot of us feel about graduation seasons. They have a lot of feelings wrapped up in them. You know, Avery Walker is graduating, so many folks connected with our congregation, so many milestones, and we're so glad for you. We want to hear all about it. And finally, our gratitude for these gorgeous flowers from the Howell family in memory of Kyle James Howell. We light a candle for all of these moments of gratitude. I invite you to join me in a time of prayer or meditation, first in words, then in shared silence, and then in a musical meditation. I share words adapted from Peggy S. Block. Eternal Spirit who gives us life and breath and love, we thank you for these gifts. Help us to hold them in joy and in responsibility. Help us to enter into this life that we have been given, to enter into each moment as a rare treasure, to listen for the silent music in the spheres and in each other. Help us accept love as it comes to us, to see clearly the invisible boundaries, to rest in the universal love of all creation, just like a small boat can rest in a placid, endless sea. Help us say yes to life, to answer, "Here am I," to live and breathe words and songs of this love that we know is shared, or at least can be. Love given and received in every breath, in every word, in every song, every day. Let us be together in shared quiet.
Good morning. I'll be sharing an excerpt from the Dartmouth commencement speech 1 year before Fred Rogers' death. It's not the honor and the prizes and the fancy outsides of life which ultimately nourish our souls. It's the knowing that we can be trusted, that we can have to fear the truth, that the bedrock of our lives from which we make our choices is very good stuff. There's a neighborhood song that is meant for the child in each of us, and I'd like to give you the words of that song right now. It's you I like. It's not the things you wear. It's not the way you do your hair, but it's you I like. The way you are right now, the way down deep inside you. Not the things that hide you, not your caps and gowns, they're just beside you. But it's you I like, every part of you, your skin, your eyes, your feelings, whether old or new. I hope that you remember, even when you're feeling blue, that it's you I like. It's you yourself, it's you I like. And what that ultimately means, of course, is that you don't ever have to do anything sensational for people to love you. When I say it's you I like, I'm talking about the part of you that knows that life is far more than anything you can ever see or hear or touch. That deep part of you that allows you to stand for those things without which humankind cannot survive. Love that conquers hate, peace that rises triumph over war, and justice that proves more powerful than greed. So in all that you do, in all of your life, I wish you the strength and the grace to make those choices, which will allow you and your neighbor to become the best of whoever you are.
Each week, we collect an offering and we give it all away to support an organization that lives out our values of love, service, justice, and peace. And we're able to give away 100% of our offering thanks to your pledges to our congregation, which keep us going. Today, we'll be sharing a video from Emma Paul, one of our young adults from this congregation who's part of Sanctuary Boston's campus ministry, for whom we're collecting an offering. Sanctuary Boston is near and dear to my heart. I've been a part of it since 2 days before their first service 11 years ago, and I serve as their worship arts lead. Emma has been an amazing part of this community, and I'm so glad we get to share her words, and we hope the technology works. You can donate by scanning the QR codes in the order of service. It'll be back on the screen eventually, or contributing something in the basket as it goes around after the video.
Hello everyone, and good morning. My name is Emma Paul. I use the she series pronouns, and I'm a member of this church, the Unitarian Universalist Area Church at First Parish in Sherborne, as well as Sanctuary Boston. Sanctuary Boston is a Unitarian Universalist community founded by young adults that offers contemporary worship on Wednesday evenings, as well as small groups and other programs. Sanctuary Boston is finishing our 3rd year of organizing a Boston area UU campus ministry. In the first year, we hired a part-time campus ministry coordinator who reached out to dozens of colleges in the Boston area and invited UU students to gather together in a caring UU community. Sanctuary offered a spiritual home to those students, myself included, through online small group ministry, worship on Wednesday evenings, other programs and outings in the city of Boston, as well as offering pastoral care and sending care packages to myself and other students during finals. In our 2nd year, we expanded on this success and formed a cohort of 3 of my fellow student leaders who each organized new UU groups on their campuses at Brandeis, Northeastern, and Harvard. Our program partnered with those leaders to offer training, resources, ongoing support, and an organizing stipend. This year, we're continuing to connect with more students from more schools in the area, and we're continuing to support those leaders who founded new UU campus groups. Us UU students in Boston have been investing our time, talent, and energy to form what's becoming the largest campus ministry program in Unitarian Universalism. We hope that the UU congregations of the Boston area will match our energy by coming together to fund this ministry into the future. When a UU youth like myself leaves their home and congregation to travel to the Boston area for school, we're greeted on campus by evangelicals, Protestants, Catholics, and other religious groups offering a spiritual home. Unitarian Universalism, though, is largely absent. Other local churches, denominations, and specialized nonprofits like Campus Crusade for Christ know that young adulthood is a critical time of spiritual growth and formation of lifelong commitments to faith communities. They are walking their talk, investing resources in outreach, staff, and organizing to be the dominant religious presence on campuses. Unitarian Universalist young adults, however, often struggle to find like-minded spiritual communities. In the absence of a UU presence, 75% of these young adults leave Unitarian Universalism and never come back. Sanctuary Boston is imagining something different and inviting you to help build it. College is an interesting time in life. On the one hand, my world has never felt bigger. Opportunity abounds, and it almost always feels like there is so much to do, so much to see. But on the other hand, my world feels small, the term Berkeley bubble being coined to describe my community of a mere 6,000 undergraduate students at my school, Berkeley College of Music in Boston. Sanctuary Boston, and more specifically the campus ministry program, have helped me to make meaningful connections outside of the Berkeley bubble. One memory that stands out is when some friends from campus ministry, Aiden, Ashley, and Leona, came to see me in my performance of my very own autobiographical one-person show, The Missing Conductor. I was nervous about this show. I didn't just have the regular feeling of butterflies in my stomach that I get every time I perform, but a lot more nerves than that. This show was autobiographical, a story of my own life, my own fears, hopes, struggles, and dreams. And I was about to share all of that with an audience. What brought me tremendous comfort, however, was the fact that my friends and family were there, supporting me through it all. At the busiest time of the spring semester, my Sanctuary friends made time to come and support me. This truly meant the world to me, and it's one of the reasons I know that the connections that I make through Sanctuary and the campus ministry program are built to last. Sanctuary Boston Campus Ministry has been a humongous support to me throughout my college experience. My dream for Sanctuary Boston Campus Ministry is for it to be able to grow and help support even more young adults than it already is. However, it can only do that with the support from fellow UU communities like you all. Please give generously to support this Boston area campus ministry for the future of our faith as well as the present of it. If you want to join the network of UUs who are alumni of Boston area colleges and other folks who want to support this campus ministry program, feel free to use the following link where you can connect with us to learn more about the organizing that we're doing. Thank you.
That link will be in your email on Friday, and we encourage you to connect. An offering to support the campus ministry of the Sanctuary Boston will now be gratefully received. Thank you.
Let us take a breath together. Here is the world. Beautiful and terrible things will happen. Let us keep our hearts tender and our eyes soft and our songs true. This is what you and I are about. We know there's no answer but to love one another. We bear witness against destruction, and we gather here in community to practice being the people we say we want to be. We cannot do everything, but we can do something. And that something is never nothing. So as Leonard Cohen reminds us, let us ring the bells that still can ring, the bell that is in the chest that we call our heart. Let us forget our perfect offering. There's a crack in everything and all of us. Let us say together, that is how the light gets in. I wonder, from where do the messages and the memories and the television series reminders and the saints from long ago come? I wonder from where does the urge to have the gospel of Mr. Fred Rogers be our scripture on this third Sunday of May 2024? We who are in the height of the busy commencement season and school sports and high school in the midst of another election year. We who are seeing conflict abroad and here at home. Why today? It is the question I had, and maybe the answer is obvious, because I hadn't thought of Mr. Rogers in literally years, honestly. I read the reviews of the 2019 movie with Tom Hanks in the title role. Promised myself I would watch it, never did. I know I disappoint you, Joe. And I heard about the documentary published a year earlier, 2018. I never found the time. But then a couple weeks ago, literally out of nowhere, honestly, nowhere, the message came to me. We should do a Mr. Rogers Sunday. Now, I've been doing this vocation long enough to know that not all the messages from the depths or the heights are to be trusted. You have been subjected to some of that over my many years here with you. Said my wife Karen to me over the years when I've had some idea or another, yeah, you don't do that one actually. But in this instance, I knew I could trust the voice. Nathan, Mr. Rogers. And I think that's because when I heard it speak, I found myself launched back in time to those mornings, or were they afternoons, when the TV with the big, those of us who are old enough will remember the giant rabbit ear antenna. Yeah? Was it black and white, or was it color? In my bedroom, I had actually one that had color and no sound, and one that had black and white but sound, and I would combine. I'm kidding, and I stacked them on top of each other. And through the TV, this man with the softest voice, would come through the door and look right at me and begin to sing. Would you sing it again? It's a beautiful day in the neighborhood, a beautiful day for a neighbor. Would you be mine? Could you be mine? And because I was an introspective kid, I was an introverted and a shy kid. I was a kid uncertain of himself and my place in the world. And I wanted to be liked, and I wanted to be seen, and I wanted to be noticed. But I was also so insecure that also in social situations I just wanted to hide. You ever feel that? Like that awkward age, just like, see me. What am I doing? Look what I do in the world, you guys. But then I heard this lovely man look right at me and tell me that he wanted to be my neighbor. And I just found myself crawling across, it was a braided oval carpet. And I wanted to climb right through the screen to sit there with him. It was another parent, another trusted adult, to help me feel safe and loved, and that I belonged in a great family of neighbors. How much our souls long for a message like that. No matter how old we are, how young you are, how old you feel, even though the numbers may defy that. Whatever. We just want to be seen. We do. We just want to know that we're worthy of love, that we belong. It wasn't until I was actually an ordained minister myself, I was having memories of that with Judd yesterday, just as an aside, that I learned, I don't know when I learned this, but I learned that Fred Rogers was an ordained minister himself. I'm like, how about that? I grew up Catholic. They never told us that there were other kinds of religious people. You know, he saw he grew up in in a time when TV was just like, for kids it was like throwing pies at people's faces and sort of just like that like, you know, shtick kind of thing for kids. And he's like, no. I want to use television is my church. All of us watching is his congregation. His puppets and his guests, they were his fellow apostles. That's how I think of it. And his songs were the choir. Yeah? Yeah. You see, I remember thinking in a departure from my Catholic upbringing, which I loved, by the way. I loved, but I knew I had to leave. I watched him and I remember thinking, you see, God speaks, not just in this one book called the Bible, or this one church, or this one person whose name is Jesus. God also speaks through someone who puts on a cardigan and Ked sneakers, or New Balance, as today as may be, and tells us with songs, listen to the titles, everybody. It's You I Like, Everybody's Fancy. Everybody's Fancy. A song, It's Such a Good Feeling. A song, Many Ways to Say I Love You. A song, I want you to hear this later when you go home, called Sometimes People Are Good. Sometimes People Are Good. All of these, he helped us realize that we are deserving of something just a little bit like grace. Yeah? So, ever since I heard this voice a couple weeks ago, I don't know even where I was. I was like in line like a market basket or something. I don't know where it came from. I tell you that so that because all voices come to us at times, and I want us to pay attention because they're telling us things, to lean into things and to lean away from other things. Anyway, I've been spending time with his scripture, aka reruns. And here is an immediate takeaway. Do not let the nicely parted hair, the aw shucks demeanor, the cardigan sweater, the crisp shirt, or the tie fool you. You guys, Fred Rogers was a radical. He was a radical. And for evidence, when we live in a world of deep fakes and spin and AI-generated hot takes, I'm going to lay out some highlights for us, okay? About why and how he was a radical. After Robert F. Kennedy was assassinated in 1968, Mr. Rogers used puppets, and he did a special episode to talk directly to kids about what happened and how scary it was, and how hearing about violence made them feel. He consoled kids, check this out, by telling them the truth. Radical. And then in episode 1065, which I'm giving you a list of things that you should watch later, not now, later, May 9th, 1969, okay? When many community pools across the country would prevent black people from sharing the water with white people, okay? Mr. Rogers invited Officer Clemens, a black police officer, onto his show to join him, and they had this big wading pool, like the little plastic kiddie pools we've all had. And they both took off their shoes and their socks, and they rolled up their pants legs, and they both put their feet in the pool. In that episode, they broke a color barrier. Radical, right? 1980s. I grew up watching movies like Kramer versus Kramer, and hearing about the pain of divorce in the mass media. In episode 1475, Mr. Rogers talked directly to kids about how sometimes parents aren't happy together in their relationships, and that sometimes this means that parents get divorced, which can be so hard for kids. But it does not mean, he said, that parents don't love them. Radical. Radical. He consoled kids by telling them the truth. In this era, we have things called truth social. I mean, really, he consoled kids by telling them the truth. But perhaps the most radical thing that Mr. Rogers ever did, which I think we need to hear right now in this moment of time of 2024 in May, when politics have become the new sorting hat and the litmus test for who we will and will not call our neighbor, yes, is that Mr. Rogers, Rev. Fred, did not behave politically. He behaved theologically. Are you hearing me? And what I mean by that is that he wanted us to remember what it was like to be a kid, to be a child. Because that when you remember what it was like to be a kid, you will remember in his language that you were and are a child of God. A child of the beloved. A child of love with a capital, all capital letters, love, L-O-V-E. In this way, he was completely and stubbornly consistent. There is a great essay Joe gave me a book this week. She's got a lot of Fred Rogers swag, by the way. It's all about him, and there's this writer who gave this great essay in Esquire magazine, Tom Janod. And in it, he says, I'm just going to read it for us because it's just so fantastic to hear. He said, I'm often asked what Fred would have made of our time. Let's see, he died right before 9/11, okay? Just to kind of put us in context, 74. I'm often asked, what do you have made of Donald Trump? What do you have made of Twitter? Can you imagine? What he would have made of what is generally called our polarization, but is in fact a discovery that we don't like our neighbors very much once we encounter them proclaiming their political opinions on social media. The question, though, is not what Fred would do or what Fred would say in the face of outrage and horror, because Fred was the most stubbornly consistent of people. He would say, and this might be tough for some of us to hear, okay? He would say that Donald Trump, if that is the person that you figure you could not possibly have as a neighbor, this is me talking, not Tom now. Donald Trump was a child once too. He would say that the latest Twitter victim or villain was a child once too. He would even say that the mass murderers of El Paso and Dayton were children once too. That in fact they were nearly still children. They're 21 and 24. And he would be heartbroken that kids have become the source and the target of so much animus. And then he would ask us to pray for the shooters as well as for their victims. You guys, radical. Radical. And he would continue to urge us on, Tom says, in what has become one of his most oft-quoted lines. We remember this after the marathon bombings. To look for the helpers. So, I'm recounting all this, like this is what I've been spending some of my time with this week. By the way, like this is why you gift me with a beautiful job, because you gift me the time to learn about this on your behalf. Do you understand? Do you understand? On our behalf, on Joe's behalf, and Sarah, like we get to do this because you make room for us to do it, to share with you the things that hopefully we all need to hear. But I know now why I heard it, Nathan, the voice, Nathan, Mr. Rogers Sunday. And it's because I'm sensing in me, in you, a desire to listen and behave less politically and more theologically. When we are maybe discovering that we don't like our neighbors very much, so we live in, what did Emma call it? Bubble, Berkeley bubble. We have bubbles too, don't we? We have this desire to behave theologically, which means to wonder what it means to look out at people, all the folk, and wonder what it means to say, they were a child once too. This is completely radical. In the commencement speech that Jen read from us, how many of us have heard about his commencement speech at Dartmouth? Only some. I'm giving you a whole list now of things that you should look at. I only found out about this because Joe texted me on Wednesday, said, you should read this thing. I was like, oh, heck yeah. He ended with a gift to the students at Dartmouth. He was at Dartmouth for a couple years and then he transferred. And this gift, he became famous for gifting to all the places that he went. And in the midst of all these radical acts, and I want us to listen, okay, to what he said. What is essential about you, he said. Who have helped you become the person you are? Anyone who's ever graduated from a college or has been able to sustain a good work or at least had one person, and often many, who has believed in them. We don't just get to be competent people without a lot of different investments from others. And then he said, I'd like to give you all an invisible gift, a gift of a silent minute to think about those who have helped you become who you are right now. Some of those people, he said, are here with you. Some are maybe far away. Some, like my astronomy professor, he said, may be up in heaven. But wherever they are, if they've ever loved you and encouraged you and wanted you what was best in your life for you, they are, he said, right beside you. And I feel, he said, that you deserve quiet time on this special occasion to devote some thought to them. So I would just like to ask us to take a minute in honor of those who have cared about us all along the way. One silent minute. So that's what we're going to do right now. I want us to think of all the people, or maybe just one person, who has helped you and cared about you along the way in this journey called life. Amen. Hey, guess what? We get to sing one more time. And not just some random hymn. We're going to sing another, of course, Mr. Rogers song. And it's called Such a Good Feeling. Okay, we ready to sing? All right, let's do it.
It's such a good feeling to know you're alive. It's such a happy feeling to know inside. And when you wake up ready to say, I think I'll make a snappy new day. It's such a good feeling, a very good feeling. The feeling you know that I'll be there when the day is through, and I'll have more ideas for you, and you'll have things you want to talk about. I will too.
Friends, reminders that we, after at 12 o'clock, well, a couple things. Tim's going to be with our lovely young ones. And Amy, for our children's choir. They'll be playing on the right at the piano, right by Sarah. And then have some refreshments downstairs. And then please come back if you're able to at noon so we can give you an update on things that could be happening in the sanctuary and what's going to potentially happen with the organ, okay? So that's invite all of us to do that. Let us say together our call to ministry, these words, our promise of our faith lived out into the world. We go forth into the world in peace to act with works of love, affirm each person's dignity, and cherish the living earth. Our benediction, of course, from Rev Fred. When I say it's you I like, I'm talking about the part of you that knows that life is far more than anything you can ever see or hear or touch. That you never have to do anything sensational for people to love you. The deep part of you that allows you to stand for those things without which humankind cannot survive. Love conquers hate. Peace rises triumphant over war, and justice will always prove more powerful than greed. So in all that you do in your life, I wish you strength and grace to make those choices which will allow you and your neighbor to become the best of whoever they are. Amen, you guys. Love to us.